The real reason WNBA players hate Caitlin Clark. This is a video brought to you, produced by T. Reese on YouTube. He's got 164,000 subscribers. The video already has 121,000 views. I'm assuming this should be some pretty good stuff here. Before we even get into it, please go ahead, subscribe to his channel, show him some love, leave him a comment, let him know what you thought about his video. The real reason WNBA players hate Caitlin Clark. Oh boy.
The WNBA has been the butt of endless jokes in the sports world for many years, but for one reason alone, this trend might come to an end, and very soon. Young women's basketball phenom Caitlin Clark has superstar written all over her game, and she's got the potential to not just be a superstar in the WNBA, but to be the superstar of the WNBA that can completely turn the tide of the league from a laughingstock to a widely appreciated sport. The NBA was a success before MJ, but it climbed to worldwide must-see TV once Michael Jordan entered and began to dominate the league. And while it's too early to say,
that's true. People were watching with Magic and Larry. People were watching with Moses. People were watching. But until Jordan stepped onto the scene and blew everybody's mind and captivated everybody's imagination, that's when the NBA really took off and made it global. You know, shout out to David Stern. He's not an idiot like Kathy Engelbert. They might need a commissioner like David Stern.
It shouldn't be a surprise if this is what the future has to hold for the WNBA with their new superstar rook. After all, the league has been on the lookout for its Babe Ruth or Michael Jordan, and once a sports league is able to get that hyper marketable and extremely talented player, that can often be
hyper marketable is probably the best term I've heard to describe it yet. Yeah, you might have your following. Yeah, you might have your supporters, Instagram, Twitter. Yeah, that's all cool. But when we're talking hyper marketable, can I put your face on a souvenir cup? No offense, CM Punk. Can I put your face on a souvenir cup and will it sell? Can I put your face on an ice cream bar and will it sell? Hyper marketable. Can I sell advertising space on your games? Yes or no?
All it takes to swing things in the right way for the league as a whole, and it seems like everybody, including her biggest enemies, are beginning to accept that reality. Caitlin Clark is the real deal, and we're likely in the early stages of something special happening to both her and the WNBA, but that doesn't come easy. Not only does it require a relentless work ethic and transcendent talent, but there are things unrelated to the game of basketball that can often be a player's biggest challenge. But what challenges a player is what can later on create a superstar. At the highest level,
that was the worst thing that people needed to see. First sight watching Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese go head to head in the WNBA. Watch Kennedy Carter do a cheap shot, and then you have Angel Reese acting all ghetto on the sideline, screaming and cheering like a cheerleader for this nonsense.
People are going to,
no matter how much Angel Reese decides to say good things on Twitter now, no matter how much he wants to post Caitlin Clark videos, right? The fact that she's over here screaming and shouting
on create a superstar at the
right on the sideline, nobody cares. People are already off you, right? Sometimes first impression's all you get.
Highest level, people are going to hate you. People are going to be jealous. Ask MJ. You could do nothing wrong whatsoever and still be treated horribly. It's the unfortunate hidden print that is always a part of the contract of greatness, which is why on top of the numbers, on top of the incredible success she's had over the course of her career, people are more and more certain by the day that Caitlin Clark is the real deal, because the kind of stuff she's dealt with so early on into her professional career has been unprecedented.
Kicking it out, Evans fakes the three, takes the two, and knocks it down. A lot of contact from Reese on
yeah, there's some extra there, right?
No whistle. Goes around to Gumake, drives baseline, and shot rejected by Izzy McMagor. Second opportunity is up.
In the first quarter, the Fever getting their first win last night in Los Angeles. Foul call on Alicia Clark, and that is her second.
How nasty is this? How nasty are some of these plays?
Put Caitlin Clark to the stripe.
Oh yeah, that's a foul. Alicia Clark caught her across the face.
You think it's a foul?
To Carter, her jumper is good. Kennedy Carter now with 12 points off the bench. And then the lay from Boston as the officials are going to take a look at what just transpired between Carter and Clark.
And what I love about Caitlin Clark is that despite being on the receiving end of many plays like these, she's not one to complain and play the victim, as she later go on
Yep, she's a trooper through it all. Basketball play, this, that, and the third, she doesn't complain at all.
to speak about the vicious Kennedy Carter foul, saying there's no grudges, it's a sport, it's competitive. And more impressive than that is that after plays like these, it's her actions on the court, not her words, that end up being the most satisfying revenge.
Continuing to generate good looks. Lloyd just pushes over Caitlin Clark and not. Clark puts on the brakes. Good help there by McMagor. Clark over Horston, hits a three.
It's off a pin down here, wide open.
Yep, welcome to the WNBA. Vivian's thought she had a sucker on her hands. No, you got Caitlin Clark. She doesn't care who you are. In fact, nobody cares. Your friends and family do, but not me. I don't know who you are.
For this video, I partnered with Mint Mobile, but while Swiss Premium Wireless enters no case, and you have these your phone day of savings. Mint Mobile. Thank you. Fouls, because they are a part of an important narrative here. Clearly there's something about them that's at least a little bit personal. For this much hard contact to be made on Clark while she's only 12 games into her WNBA career just doesn't seem right. Now, it is basketball, a contact sport, meaning you can't always know if the contact we see is intentional. Well, in most cases. Some of these plays are blatantly violent and come from players that clearly have a tremendous amount of hate and jealousy for Caitlin Clark. In the case of Kennedy Carter, the player who had the most vicious and viral in-game play on Clark, we know based on what she said after the game that it was without doubt intentional.
Crazy. She's crazy. Kennedy Carter's a lunatic. She's been kicked off numerous teams. She's a baller, but maybe not every screw is tightened upstairs, shall we say. So this was a dirty play. This was the Kennedy Carter's coming out party. Nobody knew who she was until this play, unless you're a hardcore WNBA fans. But for the normal Joe Schmo walking down the street, we had no idea who Kennedy Carter was until this day.
It's competitive, and this is basketball. And you're playing against somebody like me. I classify myself as a dog. So if you're gonna throw a punch, then I'm gonna compete with you. I'm gonna play at the level that you're giving.
A little bit.
Yeah. I ain't answering no Caitlin Clark questions.
Cowardice. Typical WNBA behavior. Cowardly.
I don't know what she said.
What'd you say to her?
I didn't say anything.
That's enough.
Later on, after all of this, Kennedy Carter would also go on to say about Caitlin Clark, cause besides three-point shooting, what does she even bring to the table?
How terrible did that age? How terrible did that age? Besides three-point shooting, what else does Caitlin Clark bring to the table? Go check out what else Caitlin Clark brings to the table. Check out the video I just posted, Ben Daniel Podcast. Caitlin Clark is on pace by the end of this season to pass Kennedy Carter's entire career when it comes to career rebounds, when it comes to career assists, when it comes to career blocks. In Caitlin Clark's rookie season, she's doing what Kennedy Carter hasn't done in 2.5 years in the WNBA. It's disgusting.
Table. And it's pointless to bring up because we all already know this, but just so that we're very clear here, anything that Kennedy Carter thinks she could do better than Caitlin Clark on the basketball court simply does not exist.
Yep.
As if you were to look at the numbers of a rookie Caitlin Clark compared to Carter's, not only is she a better three-point shooter than Carter, but that's the one area where she's had trouble this season. Getting the ball to fall from three at the same rate she did prior to the WNBA, where she was absolutely lights out. However, from points to rebounds to assists, steals, and blocks, the rookie Caitlin is pretty clearly the superior player here in every single way, but we already knew that. However, what many people don't know is what all of this hatred stems from, and it isn't new. This isn't all something that arose this year or since Caitlin was drafted to the WNBA. It's been a long-lasting theme about her career ever since she rose up through the ranks in college.
Yes, and you have other players who are going to knock down shots from the
Ooh.
three-point line.
That's a dirty elbow, huh? Oh.
Offensive foul on that pass.
They just hate when another star shines brighter than you. These women just can't take it. They just can't take it. It hurts them so deeply. It's like they just want the spotlight on themselves so much, and in doing so, they act irrational, lose control of their emotions, and then just it's hard to become fans of this type of basketball.
And in for Clark. And draws the very unfortunate for Georgia with the game that they have played today.
So ring is coming.
Many people didn't know who Angel Reese was until this moment either. No matter how many people want to tell you they were watching her shake her booty on TikTok. Until Angel Reese did the John Cena You Can't See Me to Caitlin Clark. Yeah, she had a small little following on TikTok and doing the model thing and the influencer thing on Instagram. That was cool. But until this moment, she wasn't a household name. It is what it is.
So it definitely appears to be the case that for a very long time, there's been a lot of envy towards Caitlin Clark. We've seen it on the court, we see it through the way her opponents speak about her. And essentially, if you're in the sphere of women's basketball, you have to either love or hate Caitlin Clark. But we've heard that story before. A great player is greeted with a mass amount of love by their fans, but just as much hatred from those who aren't a fan of her. One can't have a neutral stance on something so significant if they're invested in what that is. Caitlin Clark is taking over women's basketball, and extreme polarization is a natural result
that I want to touch on. We don't need to be fans of everybody. I don't need Angel Reese fans to be fans of Caitlin Clark. We don't need Caitlin Clark fans to be fans of Angel Reese. I was watching Chicks Dig Scar's podcast the other day, and he made a great point. Like, Shannon Sharp, people that were fans of the Oakland Raiders hated you when you were in Denver. People that were fans of the Steelers hated you when you were in Baltimore. So I'm not exactly, whoever Savannah State's rival was, whoever it was, hated you when they had to play you. So to think that just because you guys get along, that your fans need to get along is nonsense. Fans can be fans of whoever they want to be fans of.
Just as we've seen countless times with emerging superstars of other sports leagues. But what makes the case of Caitlin Clark a tad more interesting.
And I'm only saying that because this was recorded before Angel Reese posted the video of her dapping up Caitlin Clark. If she wants to put out that, that's okay. That you want to make it seem like you guys are friends and you never hated on Caitlin Clark and you always got along, and all the history of you complaining that she outshines you, that she gets more publicity than you, that everybody's watching because of her. If you want to act like all of that doesn't exist and post a thing on Instagram like it's all kumbaya now, well, maybe not.
Interesting is that the treatment she's received isn't limited to her opponents or even fans. It's some of the older and respected women's basketball players who, instead of appreciating Caitlin Clark and all that she's done in her short basketball career thus far, they appear to share some of the same distaste for her and the attention she's received for her stellar play.
In this hot take debate about, do you need to have a championship or
Brianna Stewart too?
Legacy when you talk about a women's college basketball player. You are the expert on this since you have 4. Yeah. Does Caitlin Clark need a championship to be considered one of the greats in women's college basketball history?
Yeah, she does.
Listen to that. The question is one of the greats, not the greatest, one of the greats. Folks, NBA top 50 all time. Can anybody on that list say that they are one of the greats? Yes. Yes. Was Scottie Pippen one of the greats? Yes. Is he in the top 10 conversation? No. Top 15? No. We got to put things in this proper perspective. When we use the term greats, of all the women that have ever played women's college basketball period, Caitlin Clark needs to win a national championship to be considered one of the greats at the point this interview is going down. Not everybody had the luxury of stacking their team like you, Brianna Stewart. Not everybody had the luxury of playing inferior competition their entire college career due to having a lopsided roster based in your favor. Sorry, it doesn't work like that.
I think so.
And those of us that were there living through that remember how lopsided that UConn rosters were. You guys had all the talent on your team. This wasn't like Alabama, Georgia, Alabama, LSU. This was like Alabama going up against South Alabama every single year.
Because then you're gonna look 10 years back and you're gonna see all the records she's broken and the points and stuff like that. But anybody knows, your goal when you play college basketball is to win a national championship.
I would agree. That's probably your goal. I would agree with that.
So you need one.
So when you look at Caitlin Clark, obviously generational college basketball career, how do you think her game will translate to the W?
So that's a two-part question for me. Because I say this, yes, records are made and set to be broke. But if you're going to break a record, this isn't just for Caitlin, but you asked me about Caitlin. If you're going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that that player set it.
Okay.
Right? So if Kelsey Plum set that record in 4 years, well, Caitlin should have broke that record in 4 years. But because there's a COVID year.
Every time I hear this take, I just can't help but think to myself, Cheryl Swoops, you're an ignorant idiot that shouldn't be talking any WNBA basketball. But it's crazy because you're an actually good commentator for the Dallas Wings game on the local network. But when you make your appearances on Gil's Arena, your blatant biases and unspoken racism is disgusting, and I'm tired of it.
Then there's another year, you know what I mean? So she's already had an extra year to break that record. So is it truly a broken record? I don't think so, but yeah, that'll go in the record books as Caitlin Clark is the all-time, whatever it is. I don't even know what the number is, but that's the way it'll be. And I don't think it should be. But you have a 25-year-old playing against a 20-year-old. Like, you should be killing them. Caitlin Clark right now probably takes about 40 shots a game. When she comes to the league, regardless of what team she goes.
How do we try to let this even pass as facts? 40 shots a game? She's being serious when she says this isn't a troll. This is Cheryl Swoops being serious when she says this. 40 shots a game. She's in her 5th year. She's taken a COVID year. Nope, that's Paige. That's somebody else. Caitlin Clark's the one that's saying 4, yeah, give me my records and I'll be off doing bigger and better things. Thank you. Goodbye.
Those two that has vets on that team, she probably ain't gonna get 40 shots a game. But here's the other thing that I know you don't want to talk about is the defense. Like, you gotta guard somebody.
Obviously, there's a tremendous amount of jealousy in these clips, but in the second clip featuring Cheryl Swoops' comments, what she says is just blatantly false. Caitlin Clark was not 25 as a senior at Iowa. She was a 22-year-old.
25. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
Just as Kelsey Plum was as a senior. In fact, as only a college freshman at 18 and 19 years old, Clark averaged 27 points per game. So it's safe to say her performance had nothing to do with her being older than everybody else.
27 points per game as a freshman? That's nasty, folks. I had no idea.
She also didn't get an extra year to pad stats in college due to the pandemic. She played the normal amount of 4 years and in total played less games than Kelsey Plum did in college, throughout which she only took 20 shots a night, half of what Swoops claimed. But you're starting to get it. The jealousy towards Caitlin Clark has come in many different forms, and it isn't anything new. So why is it happening? Well, we've already referenced the reason, which is that Caitlin Clark is one of a kind, a player that can truly transform the WNBA. She's really that special. WNBA tickets have surged 93% since the emergence of Caitlin.
93% ticket sales. That's absurd.
Clark in the league. She set record after record related to attendance and ratings.
And that's around the league combined, factoring in the lopsided number that the Indiana Fever games generate by themselves. So you really need to think what the rest of the league looks like when you say, wait, if the Indiana Fever, let's say their number is 500% and the rest of the league is at 20%, then of course we're going to be at a 93% number. Caitlin Clark is the reason that the W is getting talked about at the rate that it's getting talked about. There's no disputing that at all.
And more important than all, she's giving fans a performance worth their money. Now listen, I'm no WNBA historian.
She is first triple-double for a rookie in WNBA history, most assists in the game in WNBA history, completely cooking out there.
But what I do know is that throughout the history of the WNBA, only 5 players have ever put up the stat line of 15 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists per game throughout a season, none of which were rookies other than Caitlin Clark, and she's yet to really hit her stride yet. The 3-ball isn't falling like we know it can, and once it does, these numbers are only going to get better. This is a girl who's been dominating the game of basketball for as long as she's been in the spotlight, and the positive...
And it has gotten better. In the month since he's posted this video, Caitlin Clark's now averaging 17 points, 8.2 assists per game, 5.5 rebounds per game. So Caitlin Clark is definitely beginning to hit her stride. Now she's on her break, so you can only have to think she's going to come back from her break bigger and better than ever.
of attention and exposure that comes with being the best to do it is going to make some players feel jealous. But none of that takes away from what Caitlin Clark has done. She's the all-time leading scorer in NCAA history for both men and women. She has the highest points per game throughout a college career, the most triple-doubles in a career, the most points scored in a single season, and with anything but a superb supporting cast around her, she led Iowa to 2 consecutive national championship appearances.
Which people don't talk about nearly. The best player on her team, not named Caitlin Clark, was maybe Kate Martin, maybe Hannah Stuelke. She's going against super teams in LSU, super teams in South Carolina, and dragging the Iowa Hawkeyes to back-to-back national championship games. Fucking impressive.
This isn't to say the job is done for Caitlin Clark, as a good college career is never enough to be considered one of the greats. Michael Jordan won a national championship in college, but if he retired there, he wouldn't be anywhere close to the MJ we all recognize today as the GOAT. Caitlin Clark has to win at the highest level.
It matters what you're going to do in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark. That's absolutely true. That's a good point. It's a good point. It doesn't matter. Nobody brings up Michael Jordan winning at UNC. It's a nice thing when we start talking about who's the greatest of all time, him, Kareem, LeBron. It's great when you're throwing him in that argument, but nobody brings it up when we're talking about him being the GOAT. 6-0 in the finals, no game 7s in the finals, ending it at game 6, the push-off, the shot, the stance, the statue, the leap, the lunge, the pose, the shoes. It has nothing to do with what he did in college, why Michael Jordan's the GOAT. It's how he dominated the NBA, how he caused new viewers to tune in because he was must-see TV. So we'll see what Caitlin Clark ends up doing.
WNBA to be considered the greatest, no doubt, but what we're seeing is that she's certainly on that path, and she's rightfully getting the credit she deserves for it and transforming the WNBA as we know it while at it, which is why it shouldn't be a surprise to see so many people, both her competitors and her predecessors who don't and didn't receive that same kind of praise, be upset that she beat them to it. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and
She did. She is already changing the narrative of the WNBA. The fact that people like me, folks like you are coming in, tuning in, producing content, tuning into content, asking for content, want to know about Caitlin Clark. Not only Caitlin Clark, but the W as well. Because, yeah, there's a boatload of people there who are only Caitlin Clark. But there's a boatload of people who came for Caitlin Clark and are staying for everybody else in the WNBA. And that is due to the Caitlin Clark effect as well. I appreciate everybody for tuning in today. Let me know what you guys want to see me talk about next. See you later. Take it easy.